I just kind of cast it as, oh, he's losing his marbles. Had I known, I think I would have handled it better. I think I would have been a much more patient person. I think my father would have felt way less alone.
The day Marvel Studios announced Ryan Reynolds' departure stunned not only superhero fans, but the entire entertainment industry. In a cinematic universe where loyalty to marquee actors is the norm, losing a star of Ryan's caliber seemed almost unthinkable. Yet his sudden dismissal came on the heels of new evidence, colloquially referred to as receipts, unveiled by Justin Baldoni, a filmmaker at the center of a complicated feud involving Ryan's wife, Blake Lively. The question on everyone's mind was clear. How could one of Hollywood's most bankable performers, poised to headline major Marvel projects, face termination so abruptly? Rumors suggesting tension between Ryan and Marvel executives had percolated for a while. Early on, many believed the drama was confined to a conflict between Justin and Blake. But with the studio's announcement, the narrative took a decisive turn. It implied that Ryan's behind-the-scenes involvement was more extensive than previously imagined, enough to jeopardize his future within Marvel's billion-dollar franchise. To understand this seismic event, one must look back at how it all began. Justin Baldoni had developed a glowing reputation for crafting emotive stories. When he set out to direct a film adaptation of a beloved novel, viewers were eager to see what he would do. Blake Lively, known for her warmth in interviews and red carpet poise, was cast in a leading role. On the surface, the collaboration appeared to be a perfect match, yet trouble brewed almost from the start. Insiders whispered that Blake grew frustrated with Justin's multifaceted role. He wasn't just directing. He also had a hand in the script and was slated to play a principal character.
I'm also more honored that because, what we're talking about is so important and so meaningful, that we're able to have this much anticipation and so many people want to go see it and are talking about it. That's what I'm grateful for.
And you had a key part in bringing it to the big screen. How did this all come to be?
Well, in 2019, I read the book. I was sent the book by my book agent and friend at the time, and I was looking for films that could inspire.
The rumor mill churn out stories claiming that Blake felt overshadowed and believed Justin was hogging the spotlight. Then, in a twist, Blake abruptly accused Justin of undermining her reputation. She suggested he had orchestrated leaks to the press, depicting her as demanding, temperamental, or otherwise challenging. At first, the industry was inclined to believe her. After all, plenty of behind-the-scenes feuds have been fueled by strategic leaks. Suddenly, headlines and social media discourse labeled Justin an overbearing force, overshadowing a star who only wanted her voice heard. What turned the tide, however, were the text messages unveiled by Justin's team. These messages contradicted Blake's narrative, showing that she had been issuing her own demands and freely referencing her husband's formidable network. She referred to these powerful friends and colleagues, Ryan among them, as dragons. She was trying to steer script rewrites, choose marketing angles, and even shape public perception. This revelation cast doubt on her earlier claims of feeling oppressed. While this drama simmered, Ryan's role remained mostly speculative. No one could say for certain how deeply he was involved, or whether Blake was invoking his name without his explicit consent. Fans wondered if the comedic star was simply staying out of his wife's professional entanglements, particularly since he hadn't commented publicly on the controversy. But that changed when additional materials surfaced. Messages implicating Ryan in the efforts to challenge Justin's directorial authority and spin the story to Blake's advantage. References to phone calls with influential contacts, suggestions for how to leak unfavorable tidbits about Justin, and even proposed angles that might recast Blake as the misunderstood hero.
I internalized that as opportunity. We had such a responsibility to this audience to deliver something and to have the opportunity to deliver something for a passionate group of people.
Yes.
As someone who is so deeply passionate myself.
Then Justin made an unexpected announcement. He possessed a new batch of comprehensive receipts, meaning time-stamped communications and digital proof too complete to dismiss as mere rumor or editorial spin. According to early descriptions, these records detailed Ryan's awareness of specific smear tactics. Tactics presumably devised to reposition the conversation around Blake's grievances while painting Justin as unsympathetic or dismissive. As soon as word spread that Justin was about to go public with the evidence, Marvel executives reported reportedly grew uneasy. The entertainment industry has witnessed controversies involving marquee names before, but the stakes here were unusually high. Marvel relies on stable, controversy-free relationships with its key actors, especially those who embody beloved characters. Ryan's comedic flair had become intertwined with his identity in the franchise. If Marvel continued to stand by him, despite evidence of unethical conduct, it could spark backlash among fans, cast members, and even future collaborators. Then came the day that changed everything. Marvel executives convened to examine the newly released receipts from Justin. The content, while not immediately shared with the public, was said to paint a damning picture of Ryan's involvement, providing direct confirmations that he had actively coordinated with Blake to manage press coverage and manipulate public opinion against Justin. Marvel opted to let Ryan go, effectively ending a partnership that once promised major box office returns. The official statement from Marvel contained a curt explanation, referencing a recent review of newly disclosed information and concluding that Ryan's position with the studio was no longer tenable. Almost immediately, social media platforms buzzed with shocked reactions, disbelief, and an outpouring of questions. While fans clamored for clarifications, Justin maintained a steady, unflustered approach. He offered no immediate victory lap, making no pointed public jabs at Ryan or Blake. Instead, he released more detailed logs, clarifying the timeline of events. He asserted that his intention was never to vilify anyone, but to protect his professional integrity and the well-being of the production team.
Because I was looking for movies that could be commercial and speak to the human experience. And
Were you reading romance novels?
And I had never read a romance novel.
Never?
And she said, just trust me, read it. So I read it, and by the end of the book, I couldn't even read the text on the page because I was crying so much. My wife was in bed next to me.
According to Justin, the released messages demonstrated undeniable intent to undermine him as a director and content creator. At this juncture, the attention surrounding Blake's role only increased. Her attorney had sensationally cut ties, citing irreconcilable differences with her account of events. Onlookers wondered if she had pressured Ryan to intervene, or if the two had equally shaped the plan from the beginning. The surfacing receipts pointed to a new dimension of complexity. Ryan, typically quick to respond with humor, fell notably silent. On his social media, he avoided addressing the story altogether, choosing instead to post generic or promotional content unrelated to Marvel or the film fiasco. But with Marvel's termination now public, such an approach would likely have backfired. Sources close to him claim he was in crisis mode. Marvel's decision resonated throughout the entertainment world. Studios keep watchful eyes on each other, especially regarding how they handle contract disputes with A-listers. The fact that a media titan such as Marvel dismissed Ryan suggested the evidence of wrongdoing was undeniable. Star power is not an all-encompassing shield against accusations if the underlying allegations threaten the integrity or public image of the franchise. As the dust settled, opinions in Hollywood grew sharply divided. One camp maintained that Marvel overreacted, calling it an extreme step. Others saw Marvel's move as an overdue stance on accountability. If a top-tier star like Ryan had indeed conspired to manipulate the narrative around a respected director, that kind of behavior undercut fundamental principles of professionalism. For Justin, the immediate sense was one of vindication. He insisted that his real goal never involved punishing individuals, but rather bringing to light the behind closed doors maneuvers that threatened his creative vision.
It's believing that people and humanity are inherently good. And they crave nutritious food in their soul, just as they do in their bodies.
While some might see Marvel's firing of Ryan as an unfortunate outcome, others believed it a necessary measure to restore equilibrium. Blake, by this stage, had retreated from public engagements. From once constant social media posts spotlighting her family life, she shifted to a near radio silence, fueling speculation that she and Ryan were scrambling to manage the turmoil. Yet with so much evidence in circulation, her attempts to frame Justin as the antagonist now seemed flimsy. Indeed, fans fans who'd initially rushed to defend her reversed their stance. Movie analysts noted the irony of Marvel, famed for forging tight bonds with its leading actors, being forced into a very public split. Some pointed to the possibility of Ryan finding a new comeback story. Others, more cynical, argued that the rift with Marvel might be too significant to recover from quickly, especially given how thoroughly this incident had permeated news cycles. Behind the scenes, other production houses weighed the risk of associating with Ryan in the immediate aftermath. Untold numbers of projects had been in development, counting on his broad appeal. Now, executives wondered if continuing those plans would drag them into controversy, especially if more evidence surfaced tying him to questionable dealings. While an eventual rebound wasn't impossible, Hollywood is well known for reinvention. A period of cautious distancing looked inevitable. Industry reporters who had covered earlier controversies saw parallels to other stars who faced swift, dramatic falls from grace. One difference was that Ryan's comedic persona had given him an everyman charm. The public rarely sensed malice behind his witty banter, but the messages tying him to what critics called a smear campaign against a well-liked director forced fans to reconcile that comedic persona with the possibility of complex, behind-the-scenes manipulations. Justin, for his part, again tried to shift focus back to the film itself. Despite the spectacle, he reiterated that the heart of the adaptation rested in the source material's emotional depth and universal themes. Crew members who remained loyal to Justin appreciated his resilience. He never used the fiasco to portray himself as a hero. He stuck to the facts, letting the document speak.
So the message, to answer your question, the message is very simple. As men, we need to embrace all of the parts of us that make us human. That's it.
With Marvel's official move, it was evident the document spoke volumes. In the broader realm of superhero cinema, the question now is, who might take Ryan's place? Recasting in midstream can prove tricky, especially for an actor identified so strongly with a specific role. Marvel had pinned substantial plans on him, some rumored to extend well into the franchise's future. Scrapping or rewriting projects involves big financial losses, and fans historically react strongly to changes in established casting. Yet continuing with Ryan was clearly off the table. Marvel's abrupt termination signaled a stance that overshadowed financial considerations. If trust with an actor is broken to such a degree, forging onward can create bigger problems down the line. Ironically, in the midst of it all, Justin's adaptation still advanced, albeit under a press cloud. The more fans learned about the conflict, the more curiosity built about how the film might turn out. Some cynics suggested the entire controversy could benefit the box office. For Justin, though, the real victory lay in preserving his vision. He refused to pivot the film's promotional strategy around Ryan's meltdown or Marvel's decision, insisting that the work stand on its own merit, rather than become a footnote in an unfolding scandal. What remains to be seen is how Ryan will respond once the dust settles. Will he attempt a definitive apology, possibly refuting certain texts as taken out of context or claiming his involvement was exaggerated? Will he find a path to a heartfelt reconciliation that might ease tensions with Marvel down the road? Or is this a break so final that no amount of damage control can mend it? Given the magnitude of the studio's decision, the last scenario seems the most likely. It's rare for Marvel to sever ties publicly. Their preference has always been to manage controversies quietly. Taking such a definitive stance suggests that internal deliberations reached a firm conclusion. Continuing with Ryan was untenable. Meanwhile, Justin persists in letting the disclosures stand as his final word. Rather than gloat about Ryan's ouster from Marvel, he has expressed quiet resolve. The ordeal, painful though it was, underscored how essential candor and collaboration are in an industry susceptible to hidden deals and manipulative PR. Even if he never intended for events to escalate to this magnitude, his handling of the conflict set a precedent, demonstrating that if confronted with selective narratives, providing full context can be potent. There's an undeniable lesson at the heart of this drama. Not even the most humor-infused celebrity image is impervious to serious allegations backed by hard evidence. Watching the swift fall from Marvel's grace and the pivot from adored star to ousted actor has forced the entire industry to examine its beliefs about influence, alliances, and the illusions upon which stardom is built. So, for now, the saga concludes with Ryan's abrupt departure from a powerhouse studio that once championed him. New narratives will likely form, speculation about potential legal actions, rumors of hush-hush negotiations, or even an eventual mea culpa that attempts to reframe the fiasco as a misunderstanding. But no matter how the next steps unfold, this chapter stands as a stark reminder. In an era of comprehensive documentation, texts, emails, unedited logs, no one is immune to evidence that contradicts carefully cultivated public images.